Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Lee's TrendOn, engaging your audience to trend on you, live every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Central Time. TrendOn, featuring guest interviews and current trends from businesses to entertainment to lifestyle topics. And here's your host, the engaging Tamarah Leigh.
Good morning. I am your host, Tamarah Leigh. Tamarah Leigh's TrendOn, engaging your audience to trend on you, live every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Central on Blog Talk Radio. And today we have a fun show coming up with the Willis Clan and Trending On Irish Fest here in Milwaukee. Milwaukee is known as the City of Festivals, and they have a great lineup of Irish and performers and artists, Irish food, very fun. And so we thought we would revisit an interview I did earlier this year, right before St. Patrick's Day, with Brenda, the matriarch of the Willis Clan, which has received national attention and have their own reality show that just launched. So Brenda talks a little bit about that, as well as their Irish music, all things with the Willis Clan. They are a family of amazing musicians, dancers, athletes, writers, and artists, and they live in the Nashville, Tennessee area. And one of the things Brenda did was to launch a Music City Irish Fest last St. Patrick's Day. So that will be coming up again this year. It's an annual event, and we will talk more about that, as well as the chance to see the Willis Clan at Milwaukee's Irish Fest, which starts, I believe, August 12th, Thursday, through Sunday, August 16th, coming up. So here we go with the amazing and exhausting, I would think, to run all that she does, Brenda Willis.
Success that they've had in the past year, including winning the Today Show Sound of Music competition, and then the America's Got Talent. They've kind of were put on the map through those couple of very public national TV spots. So with us is Brenda, the mother. Are you are you up and running and like the day's half over at 10 a.m. already, huh?
I am. Good morning. You know, I've told my friends, they're like, so what are you doing? I said, well, I've got 12 kids in a TV show and a band, and I was kind of bored, so I decided to run a music festival too. So yeah, it's gotten a little bit crazy here lately. You know, I feel like this is a great opportunity for our family. Our very first stage that we ever played on was Dan McGinnis Irish Pub here in Nashville. And that stage matured us, and we grew up on that stage. Took a little break from that stage the last 2 years because that owner introduced us to Disney World and an Irish pub down there. So then we grew up a little bit more and played on the Disney stages for the last two St. Patrick's Days. But we're back in Nashville this year, and I chatted with the owner of the Dan McGinnis Pub in October and said, hey, what are we doing for St. Patrick's Day? And he said, I don't know, what are we doing? And that's how this festival was born.
Oh, that question, what are we doing? There's an open space on the calendar. Let's fill that.
Yes, absolutely. Well, actually on St. Patrick's Day, we're going to be singing the national anthem for the Predators, which is our ice hockey team here in Nashville. That's, I think, ranked number one in the league right now. And then that night after that, we're gonna sing and play on the Grand Ole Opry. So we do have some gigs on St. Patrick's Day, but we decided to run an Irish music festival out on the street, shut down the street for a couple of blocks, and put a stage up and run a big Irish festival out on the street.
Well, that sounds fabulous. So we'll talk a little bit about that, but first I want to go back into about the Willis Clan and how you all got started. Is Nashville home to you?
Yes, Nashville is home for the last 14 years, but we originally lived in Chicago, and it's kind of a funny story how we got started in Irish music and dance because my husband was a wrestler. He was the Illinois state champ when he was a senior in high school, and then he went to college and he wrestled at Northwestern, one of the Big Ten schools, and we knew that we wanted to have a large family when we got married, and we talked about, shooting for 12 kids even before we were married. And we just kind of assumed that we'd have a bunch of boys and we'd have a wrestling family like he grew up in, and that would be the thing. But we ended up with 8 daughters, and that was kind of surprising. And he's like, my goodness, what are we going to do with 8 daughters? Because he didn't want them to wrestle competitively or anything. So we thought about it and considered a lot of different athletic options. And then he bought some tickets and surprised me on a date to go see Riverdance there in Chicago when my 18-year-old daughter was a tiny baby. And we saw Riverdance, and our mind was just blown. And we realized that's what we want our girls to do. We want them to be dancers. And so that's how it started for us. And immediately, as soon as we got out of that show, I started looking up Irish dance schools in Chicago and found that there was a ton of them. It's a huge Irish community in Chicago, and we started taking classes. And then after 2 classes, the school was scheduled for a festival, and we went to our very first Irish festival, and our mind continued to be blown. And we bought a whistle, and then we bought a fiddle and continued dancing, and that's how it all started for us.
Oh, that's funny, because I was going to say when you talked about hockey, I said, you're talking, we originated out of Chicago with Link Local Network, our show did, and that's Blackhawk territory,
yeah.
But you are, you're all over that one, I can tell. And then I'm originally from Wisconsin, and I know the Irish Trinity Dancers
yes.
and Irish Fest up in Milwaukee every summer, and St. Patrick's is a big deal up in Wisconsin, which is, of course, how you and I connected through Jim O'Keefe.
Yes. Right.
So,
right.
Very strong tradition. That would make
the
sense.
Irish Fest
Go ahead.
The Irish Fest in Milwaukee is the largest Irish Fest in the world, I believe, and it's just an incredible event, and it has shaped us. It has formed us in many ways. We went before we were ever musicians. We went. Then when we started as young musicians, we went and just loved that festival so much. Now we've played it 2 years in a row. We're coming back for a 3rd year this year. And earlier this year, we're going to actually, right now the plan is to record a live DVD concert at Milwaukee this year.
Oh, how exciting.
We're very excited about that. And we actually went up there in January for their big press release for their lineup. So we did a press release concert for them in Milwaukee. And, anyway, they're fantastic. And then the neat thing, obviously, since Jim connected us, they're also extremely supportive of me with my endeavor here in Nashville. And so I have a whole crew coming down from Milwaukee to help me out this weekend.
Oh, see, well, that's good. I'll promote this with all my peeps there. Not that there's a lot of them, but and hopefully I'll be back. I'm up in Portland right now with my 3 kids who migrated to the PNW, but I'm usually back in Wisconsin for the summer, so I will have to put that on my schedule and make sure I get there.
That'd be great.
I was going to ask, so just by way of background, so what is the age range of your kids right now? And then you said you've got 8 girls. That would leave.
Yep. Right. 8 girls and 4 boys.
4 boys.
Yep. 8 girls and 4 boys. And the oldest is 22, and the youngest is 4. And all 12. Yep. And all 12 of them get up on stage and perform. It kind of was funny. 2 years ago at Disney World, my youngest was 2 at the time. And she was in my arms while the bigger kids were dancing up on stage and performing. And she wiggles in my arms right down to the floor, and she goes, I want to dance. And I was like, oh, yeah, right. Oh, very cute. And she runs up onto the stage and just starts dancing her little heart out. And it was the cutest thing ever. And she hasn't missed a show since. She runs out onto the stage and dances. And, I mean, that's not something you can really make a little child do and be happy about it. But she loves it. I take that back. I think she did miss one show on the Grand Ole Opry when it was at 9 o'clock at night that we were performing and she had fallen asleep. But other than that, I don't think she's missed a show since Disney 2 years ago on St. Patrick's Day.
So, well, that's not surprising when they just grow up and watching the other siblings ahead. It's like that baby is always running to catch up.
Yes, absolutely. And they learn so much. they learn so much from the older kids. I mean, it's like the older kids, they didn't know anything about dancing when they were really little, but now my little kids, they just watch the older kids dance. They want to do what they're doing, and so it just inspires them at a much younger age to do the same things that the big kids are doing.
Mhm. And so, what musical instruments? Because that is also a part of not just the singing and the dancing, right?
Mhm. Oh yeah. I think it would be shorter for us to go over the instruments that they don't play than the instruments that they do play, because they play 3 different genres, maybe 4 different genres of music. They play Irish, so they play all the traditional Irish instruments, and then they do bluegrass, so throw in the bluegrass instruments, and then they just do regular, straight up, pop and rock. So it's got those instruments thrown in, and so anyway, they just really country, so they've got acoustic guitars and electric guitars and drum sets, but then they've got ethnic drums like, cajones and barons and bongos and things like that, and then they've got all the stringed instruments. They've got the traditional fiddle and things like that, but then they play mandolin and dobro and unusual instruments. And Jenny plays accordion, which probably isn't the most popular instrument in a rock band, but she makes it work.
No, but that accordion is a cool instrument. I mean, it's portable and it gives you a lot of variety in your sounds.
Yeah, she plays button accordion, so it has a really cool sound to it, and it's not quite as big as the piano accordion, but and so we've got whistles and flutes, and just my son Jeremiah even plays the uilleann pipe, so we bring a lot of variety into our show.
So, and that's partly which is why you ended up with the Music Fest in Nashville, of marrying that history of Irish, Scottish heritage with Nashville country music, bluegrass.
Absolutely, yeah. That's something that we didn't necessarily know about before. It's not something that we knew about before we came here. Of course, we were very steeped in the Irish tradition, being in Chicago, and then came down here and started learning about bluegrass and met some bluegrass kids and thought, oh, this is going to be really cool and fun. And then we started understanding that, when we started hearing them play their hornpipes and their jigs in their competitions, they were actually playing Irish tunes, and we're like, whoa, those are Irish tunes. And anyway, it just was a discovery process for us that, yes, the Irish and the Scots-Irish people came over from Europe and settled in the Appalachian Mountains, brought their music, and then, of course, it evolved into all the different things and influences here into bluegrass music, which then moved into country music, and it's just evolved. But Irish music was a very, very strong part of the base of the bluegrass and country music that's so popular here in Nashville.
And bluegrass has actually enjoyed some revival among younger kids of the millennials and that younger age audience with a few of the different popular bands out there. So
yes, absolutely. In fact, my kids were just part of a project called Generation Bluegrass, and it's the young up and coming artists that are anywhere from about 15 to 22 that are all like winning all the awards at IBMAs and Sigma and all those bluegrass conferences, and they all got together, rented a theater, and got cameras and did a concert, filmed it, and then they interviewed each other on their influences, on the similarities and differences between Irish music and bluegrass music. What's the difference between a session and a jam, and all these different things. And it's really cool. So that's a neat project that they did, that, they started understanding these things, and then they officially started studying it and then did a project together on it. So, in fact, they met these bluegrass kids, and they're just as intense as the Irish kids, but they're all here in America, so they have a bunch of great music friends now. In fact, my son just proposed to one of his music friends. So,
is that your first son?
Yes, my first just got engaged. Uh-huh.
Oh, well, congratulations. Very exciting on that.
Yes, thank you.
That's Fred, I can't. And I had 5, and I thought, it was always a parade wherever I went, and I don't know how you did it with 12, but now they're all grown, college age, and I'm like, what happened to I never not had a kid on my hip, it seemed forever.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't believe it. My youngest is 4 now. It's funny, people come up to me and they're like, you're not changing diapers? You're not nursing? What are you doing?
Yeah. Oh,
and I laugh. I'm like, oh, boy. There's more to it than that.
So speaking of that, two questions. One, are you actually Irish, or are you just by adoption into the Irish heritage?
No, I am absolutely Irish. I have been able to do genealogy research, and I know the town where both of my great-grandparents were born. And, in fact, we're doing genealogy research in conjunction with the Irish government to find out all the details. We have found the birth certificates of both of them, and I know what their names were and what town they're in. And, in fact, this summer we are hosting a fan tour. We're bringing 100 Willis Clan fans to Ireland with us. And we're actually going to visit the town where my great-grandparents were born for the first time. I have never been there. So I'm very excited about that. So I definitely have Irish roots, and I'm exploring those roots.
Oh, that's exciting. So how did you leverage once you knew the Irish dancing, the Irish music, that was going to be your thing for your family? Then how did you leverage into, obviously, the bigger things that put you on the map in the last couple of years with the national television shows?
That is completely the influence of being in Nashville. You know, it's kind of a funny story. We were living in Chicago, and the kids were very into Irish dancing and into Irish music and into wrestling, which is all very strong in the Chicagoland area.
Uh-huh.
And we tried to buy a house, and just crazy things kept happening, and deals kept falling through. And for like 2 years, we tried to buy a house. We had 6 children. We were living in a little two-flat, and we're like, okay, it's time to buy a house. And we kept trying, and it didn't work out. And we thought, you know what? Maybe we're not supposed to live in Chicago. And so we started kind of looking around the country at a map and thought, I wonder where. And anyway, we were like, I wonder what Nashville's like. I mean, literally, that was the process. And he goes, you know what? Call a real estate agent down there and see if there's any houses that we like. And I called, and 6 weeks later, we moved in. I mean, it was just that. It was that supposed to happen kind of thing. You know? And so we moved down here, and we had no idea what this family of musicians was like. And I had a bunch of little kids, and they were still young and learning, and this family of musicians down here is just so welcoming. And so we started playing that gig on St. Patrick's Day, like I said. It's really kind of a funny story, even how that happened, because we were at a little pub in Nashville in the Opryland Hotel, and it was the day before I had one of my babies, so I was, sick of the house.
Oh, yeah.
And I took my kids to see an Irish band because it happens so rarely down here. I was like, we cannot. There's no way that we can, miss this, because they come down so rarely. So I took the kids, and there was no space in the bar because it was so full. So my kids got up on the bar and started dancing. And it just created this atmosphere in the room. And a young man came up and spoke to me and said, I'm opening an Irish pub on Music Row, and I would love for your kids to dance at the grand opening on St. Patrick's Day. So he gave me his card, and we stayed in touch. And came down to it in the fall. He's trying to get the lineup together, and he said, do you guys do music? Because I'll give you 45 minutes on that stage to do anything you want. And that was our first gig. And
wow.
And so that literally we had never really worked on performing or putting together anything. And so I said, sure, that would be great, because they were musicians. They were learning. So we started working really hard to put our first gig together. And then the day after Christmas, our house burned down, and we lost every single instrument that we owned in the fire. And
oh
so
my gosh!
Really put a damper on the rehearsal there. So I always laugh and I tell people we bought instruments right after we bought underwear. And so we started right back in practicing.
Not necessarily in that order of priority.
Right. And I just wanted it off the counter. That's all. It was so dangerous. Sorry, I'm watching my kids here as I'm talking on the phone. So we did that first gig, and then we did that gig 8 years in a row. And we got, my little quote marks are going up here, we got discovered because it's Nashville. It was out right on Music Row, and there were a number of music executives that go in and out of there and heard us over those 8 years. And this one gentleman came up to me, and he grabbed me by the shoulders, and he goes, "Are you signed?" I'm like, "No, we're just a family band having a good time on St. Patrick's Day." And he was like, "You guys are amazing. Do you know who I am?" I'm like, "No, I'm sorry, I don't." He goes, "Well, I'm the vice president at Curb Records, and this is your lucky day." I'm like, what's Kerr Records? I didn't even have any clue, And he started introducing us around town, and just, because that happened, then we got to start playing on the Grand Ole Opry, and we got to do a number of things, and then America's Got Talent got wind of us and called us for 5 seasons in a row, I think it was, and begged us to be on the show. And we kept saying no. We didn't want to do it because the contract was awful, and we didn't want to do anything there. And then we got the show on GAC, just from being here and meeting people. It's just a big family of people in this music industry in Nashville. And word gets around. We ended up on GAC, and it was great and wonderful exposure. And then, that relationship ended and kind of started going different directions. And it was all good, nice handshake, walk away. But we had a little space, and we thought, you know what? Let's look at the America's Got Talent option again, because it might give us some really good exposure. And sure enough, we get on, we get all the way up to the live rounds, and I think we have over 6 million views now on our YouTube audition, which is just unbelievable exposure for us. So America's Got Talent, and of course, and then the Today Show thing came up. Somebody mentioned to me that there was this contest, and I looked into it, and I was like, hey, let's do this. It'll be fun. So we sent in our little video and made it all the way to the final round. Oh, bless you. And made it to the final round. Today Show came out to our house and actually broadcast from our house on 2 different occasions during that contest. So that was exciting. And then they flew us into New York to be in the studio. Anyway, it was just a whirlwind year, for the last year, and it's been great exposure.
And do all 14 of you travel? I'm sorry.
Well, honestly, our travels didn't really kick in till last year.
Okay.
And we really, who needs to be Justin for those lights and everything? Can you guys help her out with that, please? Sorry. You know what? We had done a gig here and there and then come home, and a gig and come home. But last year we actually booked about 6 weeks of gigs in a row. And so we bought an old bus at Christmas last year, and we fixed it all up, and we went on the road for the first time. So we did America's Got Talent, and then we would leave America's Got Talent and go to a gig, and then we'd come back to America's Got Talent, and we stayed on the road for, it was somewhere between 4 and 6 weeks. In the bus, doing the Partridge Family thing. Yeah. It was great. We really, really enjoyed it, and now we have a way more intense schedule this year. We're doing about a month-long West Coast tour. We're heading out there in April and May. Then we come back. We got a few things. Then we go to Ireland for an entire month. And then when we get back, we're just doing fairs and festivals and events all over the U.S. From July to September, and then tentatively wedding planned in September, and then we'll hit the road again in November. So we've got a full schedule this year.
Wow, very exciting. And so you must homeschool the kids, or do they do their own courses?
Yes, absolutely. I homeschool the kids. The oldest 4 are technically graduated now because they're 18 and over. But we've still got 8 homeschoolers.
Yeah, because that must be some juggling right there by itself. I can't imagine homework time.
It is, but you know what? We're very flexible with our schooling, and so it's not like we run, fall to spring, schedule. My kids school all year long, all summer and everything, and they have their math books in the bus, and they get bored and fidgety, and they go, read your math book and work on that for a while, it's that kind of thing. So we're very, I believe life is your classroom, and I think you should learn your geography from a road map, and we just love life, live it to the fullest, and bring our schoolwork along wherever we go when we have quiet time and work on the academic side. But they're just learning so much being out there and in the world. And I mean, my older kids, they have their own publishing company. They copyright all their songs. They have, they have their own business. They do all their recordings. We have our recording studio in our house, and they did all the recordings on the latest album themselves, engineered it and everything. It's really, really involved in every aspect of the business that they can. So it's really a cool thing.
That is just so exciting and wonderful. I can just imagine very close-knit family because of your, working and living and just really being your community together. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So
Now, the exciting thing that you may not know, I'm not sure if you've caught wind of this yet, but the whole world is going to get to look into that, our lifestyle, because we just got picked up by a new network, and we're filming right now. In fact, you and I are on camera right now filming my TV show, and we have been picked up by TLC, and they enjoyed the pilot so much that they said, hey, let's go straight to series. And so we are in the process of filming 12 episodes at the moment that are going to start airing in May.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. So cameras follow us around through all of our craziness and everything we're doing. And we'll start airing in May. So we're excited about that.
Very exciting. I always tease my kids now because I stopped at 5 and actually 6, but we lost one. And it was like, you guys don't realize how close you were to being dangerously close to being the Duggars. But I couldn't champion my cause.
Yeah, that's so funny. I think we're actually going to cross paths with them. We're doing a homeschool conference. We're performing, and they're going to be there. So I'm very excited to be able to meet them.
Yeah. Well, that's wonderful. I mean, that's where my heart and family, we had a big country house and all the kids, and, it was like go out and play and be each other's best friends. And so very much where my heart as a mom is, too, so I can totally picture the craziness.
Great. That's great.
So
my husband says we're crazy,
back.
But we're crazy good. We laugh about
crazy.
that.
Oh, the best crazy. Yeah. And it's wonderful. So because I know you have like 1,000 things going on here in the next week before the Music Fest happens. So can you give us a shout-out about that information, both on the Willis Clan, and then the Music City Irish Fest?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Music City Irish Fest will be on Saturday, March 14th from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., right downtown Nashville on DeMondrian Street from the Musical Roundabout down to 14th Avenue. We have headliners, the Red Hot Chili Pipers, and the Willis Clan will be playing. And then we have Ireland artists from Belfast, Colin Kerwin and the Belfast Nashville Songwriters. Got a couple local bands, Nosy Flynn and Molly Ramone. So anyway, we've got some great things going on. We have Irish dancers. We have instrument makers and, authentic crafts and things going on. So, yeah, it's going to be a great day. Hope to grow this into a full 3-day festival as the years go on. But right now it's a one-day free street festival in Nashville, Tennessee.
Well, that's good. And funny story about the Red Hot Chili Pipers. I told my, Milwaukee's, Irish community is very strong. Yeah. So I told my youngest daughter, who's now a sophomore in college, and I said, the Red Hot Chili Peppers are coming to Milwaukee. We can, because I knew she was a fan, and I said maybe we'll get your tickets to go. And she was looking up the information, and she's like, Mom, it's the Red Hot Chili Pipers.
Yep.
Little different.
Yeah. You know what? These guys are absolutely.
We can still go.
Yeah. No, these guys are absolutely amazing. So, did you actually get to see the Chili's?
No, I haven't yet. So.
Oh no, you didn't get to see them. Oh, they are just the best. You know what? They are a crossover band. They do some of their traditional stuff, but they do a lot of just rock and pop anthems and crossover things. But they do it all in kilts with bagpipes and the whole rock band behind them. And it's just a niche that nobody else is filling, and everyone just loves it. People that don't know about Irish culture and Irish music and Irish dancing probably wouldn't come to a traditional music festival. But if you have a crossover band like the Chili Pipers or Gaelic Storm is another one.
Yeah, Gaelic Storm I do know. I watched Patrick play off with Patrick. He's a big Patrick fan.
Yeah. You know what? They are crossover bands that help the mainstream audience get familiar with Irish music. And you know what? I really don't know anybody that comes to an Irish festival just to hear the Chili Pipers or Gaelic Storm that doesn't walk away going, oh, my gosh, I love Irish music. This is really cool. Oh, yeah. But those two bands, I think, in the Irish festival world are really helping to bring the Irish music to a more mainstream audience. So I felt it was important that I have one of them. Of course, I started so late in the game, I couldn't get Gaelic Storm. on this year as well. But they've already called me and they want to be part of it. No, well, they've already called me and they want on my festival for next year. I already have I already have a hold on them for next year because they called me about 2 or 3 days ago. So yeah, I'm very excited about that. So we've got the Chili Pipers this year. We hope to have Gaelic Storm 2 next year. I'm looking at We Banjo 3 for next year. Runa, Fox in the Frying Pan. We've already got some great bands excited about next year.
Well, I'm going to put that on my map for next year with my daughters, and we'll get down there. My daughter was just on the rock boat. I think Gaelic Storm was on there with them. She's for years.
Oh, my gosh, those guys are great. You know what's so beautiful about them? They know how to handle a crowd. And I tell my kids, I said, you go and you watch a Gaelic Storm concert, you learn. You learn how to handle a crowd. That is their gift. That is what they do, and they are so fantastic at that.
Well, and Irish music has such energy, and it's such a upbeat. I put it on my playlist when I'm running, so I'll have to. I'll have to add the Willis Plan to my shuffle.
Yeah, absolutely. I know it's.
Well, congratulations. Success couldn't happen to a better bunch of people, all related to each other.
Well, thank you so much. That's really sweet. We have a lot of fun together, and I think that's a key, that we enjoy what we're doing, and when you do what you enjoy, that comes out, and I think people really like watching that.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. So I want to thank you and thank our guest Brenda and the Willis Plan for joining us on Tamarah's TrendOn, engaging our audience to Trend on You, featuring interviews and current trends from business to entertainment to politics and lifestyle topics. And I'm your host, Tamarah Leigh. Tamarah Leigh's TrendOn, engaging your audience to Trend on You, is on every Wednesday live at 10 a.m. And we are the Tamarah Leigh LLC communications company, meeting the needs of clients on multiple communication platforms, from website, mobile, social, content, writing, blogging, cultural, and image and style consulting. And you can find us at TamarahLeighLLC.com, TamarahLeighLLC.com. Thank you, and we will see you next week on Tamarah Leigh's TrendOn, engaging your audience to Trend on You.